Welcome to the Spiritual Awakening with Shaz podcast, where we unlock the power within and navigate the journey of your self-discovery together. I'm Shaz, your spiritual mentor and life coach, here to help you tap into your inner guidance system and manifest your best life. Whether you're just beginning your spiritual journey or looking to deepen your practice, this podcast offers insights, techniques, and inspiration to elevate your consciousness and transform your reality. Get ready to shine your light and embrace your true potential. Remember, the answers are inside you. Let me be your guide on earth. Welcome to another episode of the Spiritual Awakening podcast with Shaz. Today I'm joined by the beautiful Jena Wilmers. Jena believes everyone is born with divine fire, a purpose that God has specifically placed within us. She's also known as the Ember Igniter, the co-founder of Sparklight, an organization helping people awaken, activate, and align with light and the purpose of God. And it's the purpose that God created for them. When I previously talked to Jena, I felt this beautiful, deep connection and the fire start to ignite deep inside my heart space. This beautiful episode is going to help anyone who feels lost or unsure in their life, lack clarity in their purpose, or feel that nobody just really hears or sees them. So if that's you, this conversation today is you. Welcome, Jena. I'm so happy to have you here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to share today.
It's really quite amazing. Just before we started, we've had a few little hiccups along the way, and it's just purely divine timing. And I've never fully felt it in this purity before. As we have connected, I want you to share a little bit about your journey. How did you become the Ember Igniter?
Well, it's a self-given title. I will preface it with that. But my journey to becoming an Ember Igniter started March 20th, 2022. At that point in time, I found myself sitting in church, and there was a guest speaker that had come, and she was speaking about her dreams and goals. And while she was talking, I was like, oh yeah, I've got dreams and goals. I'm driven, I'm passionate, I'm a self-starter, I'm a go-getter, like, yeah. And I was like, thinking really highly of myself. And the more and more that she talked, the more and more I'm like, man, I have dreams and goals, but not like that. And I want what she's having. And so that was really kind of like my awakening to everything. Uh, I really started to look back at my life and realize that I had gotten to birthday after birthday, and I was no closer to the dreams and goals that I had for my life. And so I was like, I'm not going to get to my next birthday, which was actually my 40th birthday, and not be any closer. So I decided to start digging and figure out what in the world I was going to do so that I was not stuck. So I started listening to this woman. She had an online course, and basically, for 3 months, I, in military terms, went dark, and I went through this course, and everything built on one thing after another. And I can tell you, like, in 90 days, I was a totally different person. And since then, I've continued to build on that. And now I want to help other people. And I believe that everybody has a fire that they were born with, right? Their divine purpose. And unfortunately, we live in a world where things happen to us. And so whether it be, addictions or traumatic events or even world events, things that happen to us, and that diminishes our fire to embers. And so we stop going after a purpose because it got diminished. And so I want to be that person that sparks the light of your embers. And so that's where Ember Igniters came from.
Oh my God, I love that. That is so powerful. And I want to say ironic, but it's not really ironic. a lot of that happens when women turn 40. I started
Yes.
my entrepreneurial journey at 40. I just decided that I had enough and I really wanted to do what was ignited inside of me, working with my crystals, using my spirituality to connect with people. And that's 12 years ago now. And I've not really ever looked back. Yes, the journey still has up and downs. It's not perfect, but the spark really starts to ignite around that age. I also love,
Well, a lot of the time it's we look at it like a midlife crisis, right? Where and really like it's not a crisis. It's really actually an awakening. And so when you have that awakening, people look at you like you're crazy because you're doing things that you would never do before. Or, okay, so yeah, maybe the guy thought that like he had enough money to buy the sports car, so he was going to do the darn thing because he had put it off for so long. So I don't like it when people are like, oh, well, you had a midlife crisis at 40. And it's like, no, we woke up to like, hey, there's more to life. And I was meant to do more with this life versus just existing and allowing life to happen to me.
and that's a lot of what it is, right? A lot of people exist for so long and you do get to that 40
Yes.
or even 50. It doesn't matter what age it is. And nowadays, thankfully, a lot of people are having it much sooner. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where you decide that, hang on a minute, there has to be more to life than this. And that's what it is. It's a wake up call. It's a true awakening from the drudgery to realize that one, life is not infinite. We'd love to have an infinite life and for it to go on forever. But we start to question, what are we really here for? What is that purpose? What is the mission that we have on this earth?
Yes.
Was the defining moment besides that beautiful date? And just one quick sidetrack. The 20th of
Yeah.
March, 2022. Powerful, powerful numerology date, right? 23222. It's Master 11 number 2 day. So all the twos in that, plus the 20, all of that adds up to the 8. So there's a lot of infinite connection. And the 2 aspect is the awakening of the duality of self. So that date is really the perfect duality, the old you to the new you. And I
Yes.
love just that alignment aspect of it. So that was a pretty defining moment. Have there been any other defining moments in life that really shook you to the core to realize how powerful that you really are?
I wouldn't say other than that, that was really the start. And I wouldn't say there was another actual like one point. Because I feel like a lot of people look at purpose as okay, it's a destination. I'm going to arrive at my purpose and it's not.
No.
It is a journey and it morphs with you. I remember when I was younger, I really had this draw to photography. And so I, got a camera and started a business, thought I was the coolest kid on the block, right? But that led to me wanting to learn how to do graphic design. And then I learned to build websites off of that. Then I learned how to do videos and whatnot and making slideshows and that sort of thing, which is then turned into video podcasting. And at that time, when I first started in photography, I had no idea. And really not like video podcasting was not even a thought of prayer at that point in time as well. But I had no idea that what I was drawn to and what I liked to do and what I loved so much, my passions per se, uh, all morphed throughout my life and have led me and prepared me for today and this moment. And so the more that I tapped into those skills, those passions, and the dreams that I had and the things that were being laid on my heart, that was when I really started to feel the power because it was making a change in me, but also people were seeing it. People were looking at me like, "Oh, um, y you're different." And it's like, "Well, yeah, I mean, and I'm okay with that. I really am." But a lot of people aren't okay with becoming different because when you become different, you have to leave things behind. Sometimes that's people. Sometimes that's just yourself, things of yourself. And those are two very hard things to do. But if you're open to it, the possibilities and the world just become your oyster. And I want other people to experience it. And it's almost like when I walk around sometimes, I just want to like shake people and be like, come on, wake up. Like, you have so much to give to this world. You have no idea. And you are just wasting it away scrolling on your phone because it's attached to, they're attached to our foreheads right now. And I just want that for people. I want them to feel the joy that I wake up with every day. It doesn't mean that I don't have hardships. I don't want people to think that like, oh, I have this amazing life and I never experience hardship, because people think that too. I have trials too, but I can tell you the Jena before becoming an Ember Igniter, when I would get into the muck of things and be in a trial, I mean, I would be knocked down. And now when I have trials, I'm like, okay, I pull up the bootstraps and I'm like, what's next?
Yes.
And that's totally something I had always wanted to work on in my life. And like, why does it always knock me down so hard? And I didn't even realize until things started happening and I was handling them different as well, that like, oh, I have shed this person and become, the new version of me per se, and relaunched my life.
I love that. And it's part of the shadow aspect of life where we do go through hardship still, simply because without challenges and things to overcome, we get bored in life and we self-sabotage. That is to keep us
Yes.
in line, to help us grow and to become more aware of the way we respond to life and what we do with it. So how would you explain the connection between the fire, the light, and God's calling for someone's life? How do you describe it to them?
Really kind of like I did in the beginning, we were all born with a fire in us, and that is the passion that the Lord gave you. The Lord gave us all gifts. Some of us, and some, they're all different, right? Some of us, are really good at sports, and some of us are really good at spiritual gifts that we have. And so that fire is in you. And because we have free will, right? We get to make choices in life. And a lot of us tend to flow in what I kind of really call the sequential path of life. And meaning like, we go to school and then we go to college or trade school or go to work, or then it's family time and getting married and all that stuff. And we just follow this path and that society is kind of really put on us.
Mm-hmm.
And when we do that, we're not cultivating our gifts because we're focused on those things and hitting all those benchmarks and marks. And so our passion, on top of the traumas, which really smother the fire quickly, our passions get diminished as well, because we're so focused on, learning how to read, write, and arithmetic sort of thing, versus actually fanning into flame the gifts that the Lord gave us. You don't want a certain car because you feel like it. That's the desire that was put on your heart by your inner being. And we don't listen to that very much in ourselves because we're so busy listening to the bazillion messages that are coming at us, whether it be through social media or I really would just say I call it Satan's smokescreen, which is our phones, because it's the thing that we look at all day, and we let it cloud our judgment in everything because we're just addicted to consuming what comes instead of putting it down and listening. It's really as simple as that. Just getting into a quiet place and listening to what's next for you.
I love that. And that is part of the process that I also teach people. The inner guidance system, your inner connection to your soul, God source energy, has all the answers. And you just have to open up the channel for it. So You're like me. We believe everyone has a spark, a purpose, a mission, a talent, a God-given gift inside of them. How do you help someone who's so dark and lost in themselves reconnect to that voice of reason?
Well, it's really tough because you have to really get them to a place where they're open to looking at something differently. I remember in the very beginning, um, I would tell myself positive affirmations. And when I would say them, I'm like, do I really believe this? Because when you are down and out, you're like, no, that's totally contradictory to what I'm saying. Um, and it's interesting because, yes, with positive affirmations, the more that you say them, the more you actually start to believe them and then actually act them out. And I had never done anything with positive affirmations before this. And so that was kind of one thing. But what did it for me actually was the gratitude journaling. So every day I write down 10 things that I'm grateful for. And I remember my pastor saying to us, like, you can't be angry from a grateful heart.
True.
And I was like, what does that even mean when he said this? And so this mentor in this class that I was telling you about, she has you write down 10 things that you're grateful for every day. And so as I started doing that, I also noticed I I'm a Puerto Rican, so I have a hot temper. And so I was easily triggered.
Yeah,
Yeah, right, exactly. So you know exactly what I mean.
I do.
And so when that happened, like all of a sudden, my trigger went from like here to like down here. And I'm like, oh. And so and now, I mean, now it's like I make it a game of like, well, how low can I make it go sort of thing. So that has been kind of a really cool thing to be able to share with people is like, so I really try to start them with gratitude journaling because from a grateful heart, you start to see other things and open up your world a little bit more than just, uh, I think when people are in a down and out place, all they're like, horse blindered to look right at what's going on in their life and they're missing things that yeah, everything else that's out there for you to see.
I so love that because gratitude was one of the first major practices that I put into practice in my own life. It was one of the first things that really got me out of. I lost everything a few years ago and I was
Mhm.
ready to give up. And it really pulled me out of that depth of despair, the deep depression, the desire to quit life and everything around it. And it's from that, gratitude also for me is the abundance activator. Because when you can find
Yes.
gratitude in the small things, you start to really notice all of the great things in the world. People go, oh my God, I have nothing to be grateful for. You have grateful for the breath that
Mhm.
you get to take, the fresh air, the sun rising, the moon rising, the tides, the seasons, the trees, nature. There is reasons to be grateful for everything in life. And all of that is attached to abundance. And when you see all of what we have already, the desire to create more and demand better for self rises up within you with ease. And it's one of the most powerful practices, and I highly advocate for it. So tell us all about Spark of Light and how you became the co-founder of that.
Well, I went through this with my best friend and we were like, we have to tell the world about this and really the Lord had laid it on our hearts to do that. And so we co-founded this and um put it together and really everything was a vision from the Lord. Uh, he gave us not only the fire vision of everything, but a fire needs three elements in order to survive. It needs oxygen, heat, and fuel. So the oxygen is, we relate that to God because he breathed everything into life. The heat is the passion. So it's that burning desire that you have. And then the fuel is our knowledge. So what knowledge do we have? And it doesn't have to be just spiritual wisdom. It can be wisdom of the world. And you have to have all three of those in order to have a viable, bright, burning, big fire. And if any of those elements are missing, the fire goes out.
Mhm.
And so with Sparklight, we try to spark that fire again from embers and help you put those three elements back together in your life. And we have different practices for each one that we try to share with you.
I love that. That's a very powerful analogy, and everyone can see and visualize that for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
What it's like when the fire's nearly dead in the fireplace or the fire pit, and you just need to nurture it and reignite it to get it going again and add a powerful fuel source. That fuel source is your purpose and passion. That is what ignites you to go forth and to make massive change in this world. What kind of people do you work with, and what sort of transformations have you witnessed in your clients and the people that you coach and the just everyday people that come along your journey?
I work with all types of people, and we actually kind of categorize them in types of fires, right? So we have people who come to us who are embers, who are just they are just down and out about life. They have no hope and whatnot. But then we also have people who are campfires. So those are people who, I mean, campfires are great, right? We sit around the campfire, it's cozy, it's warm. So we surround ourselves with everything comfortable, and our whole world exists within that ring of light. So think about a campfire when you're out there. You can only see a certain distance from the campfire. And so people in the comfort zone or the campfire, excuse me, they stay right in where it's comfortable. They don't want to go outside. But even though their, breakthrough or their next step is just outside the light of that fire.
Mhm.
And then we have people who come to us who we call living in forest fire. And those are the people who are struggling with addiction or abuse or traumatic events and things like that that have happened to them that take a little more nurturing, because you have to work through those as well uh, to get to the other side. And so our goal is to move all of those types of fires into what we call a signal fire. We want to help them build a signal fire, because then you, that person, and hopefully I'm that person as well, uh, become a beacon of hope to the world around you. And because your fire is big, you have those embers that go off and fly. And those are the sparks that spark other fires. And so we want to try to move people from where they are to be that for their families and their communities in whatever way that looks like.
I love that. That is so powerful. I just want to show you something, right? Just on the
Yeah.
side here, I have a candle that I've lit, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
three flames. And I swear, and it distracted me while you were talking, because as you talked about the three different types of fires, each flame would ignite slightly
Oh, my
differently and
goodness. That's so
dance in its
cool.
own way. And I'm like, what is that? And just out of the corner of my eye, it's been burning since we started, and it was just very gently, but it's like one would dance as you talked about it, and then the other would dance as you talked about it, and the
Oh,
third, and I'm like, if that's not spirit in motion, I don't know what is.
mhm.
I love that, Jenna. Thank you. So for someone who feels so disconnected from their purpose, where do they begin?
Well, we have a boot camp that they can start. It's a 3-day boot camp. We do it at noon. We start at noon. It's about 20-25 minutes. And there's a workbook to go along with it. So there can be a time of reflection and stuff like that. But if you're not able to make that, I would really say start, even if it's 5 minutes a day. Sit down, grab a journal, and just journal what comes to mind. What is the spirit speaking to you? What is it saying? Is it giving you clarity on something? Is it giving you direction? And then start to follow it. I know for me, I like to journal, but not that I wasn't doing it that way. I do like to do it. I don't want to think that I come across that I don't. I do like to journal. It's just I wasn't looking at it from that framework. I was just looking at it just to, write
Yep.
how people would write typically. And when you start to listen to what um it says, I mean, I was finding that there were quotes that were being said that helped me break through something that I was struggling with. So, like, for example, when I went on this, 90-day dark journey, I wanted to start working out to get in better shape. Not that I was like, wasn't like huge or anything, but I wanted to be stronger. And I really fell into the trap that a lot of people do when they first go to the gym. You just get to the point where you're like, I don't want to go to the gym. I don't feel like it. And it was during that quiet time that I heard, well, you have to invest in yourself before you can invest in others.
I
And
love
that was so powerful for me because then the next day when I woke up, I really wasn't feeling it. And I said to myself, well, you have to invest in yourself before you can invest in others. So get up and go to the gym. And so I was able to have that breakthrough and be able to create a routine of going to the gym. And so now I'm able to do that. And here I am 3 years later and I'm still working at it. Now, I do have fallbacks, right? Like I'm not perfect, but I don't feel like I have to start over every time either. It's just like, okay, pick it up where I left off and start again. And I have been met with a comment or a saying or an affirmation or spoken word from other people every time that I've been on the struggle bus with something. And all of it comes from just writing down what you hear or even writing if you're feeling like during those times I was writing, I need help with this. What do you want me to hear? Who do you want me to run into? Those sorts of things. And that day they would come to me and be like, oh, hey, this is what you need to hear today. And it's like, "Ah, how did you even know?" So
I love that. Now, how do you tell the difference between like your own voice compared to the God source voice or the voice of the Lord or the fire within?
well, a lot of it is that I do I'm kind of bad with this. I ask for confirmation.
Me too.
And the reason I ask for confirmation is because I want to make sure that it's not me.
Mm.
I want to make sure that it is 100% the Holy Spirit telling me what it wants me to hear. And it's interesting because I've asked him for confirmation, but it typically comes in repetitiveness. So when we were co-founding the ministry together, uh, I would hear from people when I would tell them about it, they would be like, you're going to do great things. And I was like, at the beginning, I was like, yeah, okay, like you're probably just saying that because, that's kind of a thing people say. They're like, oh, when they hear about your new adventure, they're like, oh, you're going to do amazing things. And so that's kind of what I started to think when the first two people said it. But it was the same thing. More and more people were like, you're going to do amazing things. You're going to do amazing things. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm listening now because it's like repetitive. And that has continued to happen. And so on things that I'm like, oh, is that what you really want me to hear? Okay. And then it's like I get on the edge of my seat and I'm like just waiting to hear it, the second time. And then now I've gotten to the point where now it's like when I hear it twice, I'm like, okay, I'm good to go.
I love that. And it's something that I've personally done for myself. You want that confirmation. Having I was in an indecisive mode yesterday and I wasn't sure whether I got two options available on the same dates, which one was the best way to go with. And I was thinking about, is this the one that I want to? Because one offers a really good opportunity, but I don't like the vibe. And the other offers probably not as good an opportunity, but I really like the person that it's with and it's a lot more fun. And I was like, which one do I want to go with? Do I want to go with the one that's going to make me more money per se? And I sat with it, and the more I felt into it, the more I didn't like the energy. So I have my own deck of
Mhm.
oracle cards. So I was shuffling them and I was asking which one should I do? And the answer I got was no. And I'm like, okay, so
Love it. Yeah.
what does that mean? And they come back because my guides can be quite smart alecky. They're very, very witty in their own way, but also they take digs at me. And they turn around and I said, what was your real question? And my real question was, am I or should I go to this event? And the answer straight up was no. And I'm like, I don't feel it. I'm great when I go to it and somebody else is with me, but I don't really like that crowd of people. And that's okay, because not everyone's in our vibe. And I learned to trust that. That is one instinct that I'm absolutely more so now than ever. If the energy feels good, I do it. And if it doesn't, you can't drag me there kicking and screaming. And I'm like, do I
I
really
think
want to
as
go?
adults, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but I think as we get older, we start to realize that energy is powerful, and we don't protect our energy enough. I mean, think about it. When the energy changes in a room, because there are people, I mean, I call them energy vampires,
Yep.
because they come into the room and then they change the entire energy of the room just by being there. And it's no fun. I'm with you. Like, I wouldn't want to go to those events and stuff like that. But people don't glom onto that. And so they don't protect their energy. And I think it's something that people really need to be more aware of.
Mm. And it's something that I've learned to trust quite deeply, simply because
Yes.
whenever I go against it, I don't make as much money, or it's a bad day, or things happen. And or I've had events or events is just a inclusive word for it, right? So I've had invitations to parties, family, friends, big events for my business, other activities, whatever they may be. And that moment that I haven't wanted to go, the car will play up, you can't get out the door. You know how you get roadblock, and there's hurdles in the way the whole journey. And I'm very mindful nowadays that if there's a roadblock there, if there's an energy block, if it doesn't feel right, I just don't do it. And sometimes you sit there and go, oh my God, am I having like FOMO or fear? Am I missing out on something really good? And then I go talk to real people who don't lie and tell you the truth about these events or these parties from honesty, not the glossing over that everything was great and it was fantastic, because that's the mindset they want to stay in. You still have to be honest, and they'll tell you that it wasn't a great event, that these activities happen. There was a recent event that I debated going to, and everything in my energy said not to go. And one of the people that went, when I talked to her about it, told me that if everything could go wrong at this event, it did. It was the worst one she'd ever been to. And I've gone, that's why my body said, don't go. And I've also been in situations where I've pushed against that previously, before I've become more attuned to listening to my inner guidance and paying attention to my vibration, where I've pushed to go to things I didn't want to go to, and it's led to a car accident or an injury. These are things that I advocate and tell people to pay attention to. When your body and your soul says don't do something, please, for the love of God, pay attention to that, because you will hurt yourself or somebody else. And the greatest tragedies happen when you're going somewhere that you don't feel energetically aligned to. Your soul will try to divert you and put you in, like, you'll get traffic. Like, sometimes if I'm going to an event or I've got an invitation to go somewhere and all I get is stuck in traffic, I'll turn around and go, I'm not meant to go. And I'll pull out at the last minute sometimes, because that is divine energy showing you no flow. If it doesn't make it easy, if everything is so hard, that is your inner guidance system saying, stop, pay attention, turn around, go back, take a detour, whatever it may be. And too many of us don't really listen to that.
We don't.
Do you have any daily practices that you recommend to reconnect to the spark within and the fire aspect of self?
So other than gratitude journaling and definitely writing those down and whatnot, starting there. But really, I also think that it's physical health. You want to make sure that you have some sort of physical routine. And I'm not saying that you have to go and like lift weights. I mean, I do, but it's because I want to be strong. The walking 20 minutes a day suffice. I mean, just getting out there for whatever it looks like for you and whatever you feel good and comfortable, I think that's great. But I would say really like um, the biggest one for me was order in the house. So yes, I'm a very cleanly person. So my messy is other people's clean. Uh, and that was exacerbated by the military. I love to have everything, as the military calls dress right dress and in order and things like that. And there were things in my house that weren't looking like that. And it really, uh, as I was on this journey, that was one of the things that in areas that I had to fix because if you think about it, it's kind of like dishes in the sink. So you sit down at night to relax and think, but yet in the back of your mind, you have those dishes in the sink nagging you a little bit to say, hey, come clean me. And you can't necessarily just fully relax because you know that you've got that kind of hanging over your head. And so I would really say order in your house. And I'm not saying that like you need to start at like, okay, well, I'm going to take this whole weekend and I'm going to clean my entire house. I'm not saying that because that is just going to overwhelm you and burn you out. And a lot of people are going to look at it and go, oh my gosh, this is so overwhelming. I have no idea where to even start. And then you're just going to overthink it and then you're not going to do it. And then you're right back to where you were. So I'm just saying, what worked for me that was the best, set a timer. I set a timer for 20 minutes and I would do as much as I could in 20 minutes. And I focused on certain rooms. So like Mondays, I would focus on one room, and that sort of thing, until it was all to where I wanted it to be. And you would be surprised at how much you can do in 20 minutes if you put your mind to it.
I love that. And it's like yesterday, as we were talking about a bit earlier, I was looking for something and I found some amazing things that I'd misplaced. And I wanted to clean my desk. And I had a dear friend over and she said, why is it that I'm much better at organizing other people than I am myself? I said, well, how about you help me clean my desk and then I'll come over and help you do yours because
Oh,
it's
that's
amazing what we
awesome.
can get done. So my desk is nice and clean today. I said to her, come back in a week and it won't be, but that's okay. I get that. The other thing is with the exercise, it's something that I'm not a big fan, and I try to put in processes and practices for it. And yesterday also I signed up for something that's going to help me with that. A lot of people do like dry July where they don't drink for the month of July.
Oh,
As a non-drinker, that is not something that I'm going to do. But there's a fundraiser that I've seen advertised on Facebook and I've gone, well, if that's not a kick up the pants to go and do my exercise, I don't know what is. And it's 100 kilometers in July. So in the
oh,
month of
cool.
July, you got to walk 100 Ks, which I can do a 5K walk, which is about that hour walk. So every day in July, I'm going to walk for an hour and I'm going to track and journal how many kilometers I walk. Because sometimes you do longer, sometimes you do shorter.
Yeah.
But I want to do that at least even if it's 2 20-minute walks in the day, it doesn't matter. But I'm going to walk 100 kilometers in July because that's one, fundraising for cancer research, and it's a really powerful thing that I can do, but it will keep me on track with that exercise. And July is a hard month for me being winter over here in Australia. I don't like cold at all. And that will just get the blood pumping and get you motivated.
Yeah.
So yeah, along the way, we all go through different obstacles and hurdles. What are the major obstacles that you've personally faced during your calling?
Well, I think that everybody kind of experiences the same thing because anytime that you try to start something new, there's always pushback.
Mhm.
And that pushback can come in a variety of ways. It can come in a way of naysayers, of people saying, oh, you're going to do that. Are you sure? Like, who do you think you are to have a podcast or to talk about that? Or another way it can show up is in limiting beliefs, where kind of almost talk yourself out of it before you even start, which, again, that's where those positive affirmations come in. Um, and then really, the more and more that I've gone on this journey, I really seeing the spiritual warfare with it. So meaning like when I'm going to have a breakthrough in something, for whatever reason, my husband and I, or my son and I, or all three of us get into some stupid argument, and it's way bigger than what it needs to be. And we're all sitting there like, oh my gosh, did we really just like say that to one another? Like, we don't speak like that in this home, and that sort of thing. And so now for me, that's become like a tell. And so I'm not so quick to participate in those, where now it's more like, okay, hang on, wait, this is what's going on, guys. Like, we got to take a time out here. And so if you start paying attention, you'll see that as soon as you start something new, there's going to be a pushback. But if you brace yourself for it,
Yeah.
and then learn, is there a pattern to it? You can then be able to overcome that quicker
Yeah.
and not participate.
I love that. I call that the response rather than the reaction. And I've trained
Mm-hmm.
myself to do that. Same as when you get triggered and different things. If someone says
Mm-hmm.
something that upsets me or change my vibration, I internalize that and they go, hang on a minute, am I going to allow them to disrupt what I'm doing? Or what is that trying to tell me, teach me, or open my eyes to that I'm not seeing right in front of me? And usually the bigger the pushback, the greater success and the greater impact that you're going to have with
Yes.
it. And I know, like, we talk about it in coaching terms as the breakdown before you break through. Sometimes you have to break down because you've got to get rid of all the old baggaging, let go of the black bags, let go of all the burdens in order to rise up and reignite. What are some other simple techniques that you can recommend to people to reignite that ember when it feels so heavy that you're like the moments of loss in despair?
I would say one of the things that you have to really combat is, and it's kind of a big pill to swallow for a lot of people. We also need to recognize that our choices have weight. Every choice that we make shapes the life that we are living. And a lot of people don't understand that, or see that as like a real thing. And, for example, I'll go back to the gym story for myself. Um, I could choose not to go to the gym, but if I choose not to go to the gym, then I'm choosing to stay where I was at that physical place. By choosing to go to the gym, then I'm able to move in the direction that I want to. And now I have a wonderful gym routine that I love and, carry out. And I'm actually over the hump and to the point where if I don't go work out, like I'm crappy. So so now it's like super important. Um, but I had a choice. I had a choice to do that. And everybody has a choice. And I find it interesting when people will say, "Oh, I'm so stuck." And it's like, "Well, okay, well, what choices do you have?" And when they have to think of it that way, they kind of look at me like, well, I don't know." And so then I'll give them like, here's the yes or here's the no. And then it's almost like you like slapped them with a 2x4, because then at that point they're like, oh, well, I don't know why I keep choosing this route to stay stuck. Well, sometimes we choose that route unintentionally. And it kind of goes back to what you were saying about starting those routines and whatnot, the systems that you put in place. Well, yes, this is why lots of New Year's resolutions do not pan out. It's because you don't put the systems in place to help you get up the next day.
Mhm.
And I just heard it the other day. Valerie Burton, she's a coach in the United States here, and she said it the best, and it was getting a system in place so that you can make the right choice of what you want to do. So, like, the right choice for me would have been getting up and going to the gym, even when no one's watching.
Yeah.
And putting that system in place, it's hard and it's work and it's bumpy. And again, your beliefs and the naysayers and all that will keep coming at you to push you to keep you from it. But if you can just keep putting one step in front of the other, small steps are still steps forward. And eventually you're going to get there.
Mhm. That's actually one of my favorite quotes that I say to people all the time. Small steps make big leaps. We never really
Yes.
jump over big hurdles. We take tiny micro steps along the way, and it's what you build up towards that create the results. I have a coach, her name's Melinda Warnocky, and she taught us a personal success routine. And it's what you put in practice, that routine, that daily morning, that aspect of self that gets you started on the day. When I get up in the morning, I ground my energy when I get up, and then I focus in, do my meditation to choose the vibration that I sit at, choose what I'm going to do today. This is where I ask Spirit every single day, how can I be of service? What do you want me to do today? Our first thing today was this podcast recording. Sometimes it's to go for a walk, to go and talk to people. Sometimes I get told literally go down the street, and I go, what for? I don't need anything. They go, just go. Okay. So I go down the street, and there's always some old lady or gentleman who needs a listening ear. And I get told a
Yes.
life story. We have the most amazing conversations. And I'm like, why did I need that? You didn't need it, but I actually did. They needed it more. They just wanted someone who would pay attention to them. And it happens every time. I love that. How does your faith fuel your mission?
I would really say, because it all came from my faith. I am, none of this is that I talk about is from me. And I hope that when I share it, it shines the light of Jesus to people in the world, because he is the light of this world. Uh, and really, I mean, yeah, really, that's all I can say. Like, there's really nothing more to say about that, because it came from him. It wasn't from me. I'm just the mouthpiece. I'm the messenger, the forerunner of it, you know?
I love that, because a few years ago I surrendered to Spirit. I literally said, I've stuffed up my life so much. I'm not doing anything anymore until you tell me what to do. And I opened up that pure channel of bliss for that. Do you have any specific prayers or spiritual practices that help you connect with the Lord?
I don't. I really just sit quiet. Um, I do have a prayer that I say at the end of my positive affirmations, and it's really just a prayer of just asking for protection for the day, and you know, having the the Lord for any enemy attacks that he might have on me, and really just closing all the gates of inroads that I may have given the enemy, and placing angels there to stop him. But really, it's more just becoming a practice of sitting there and listening. I think all too often we go into prayer or prayer life, and it looks like, okay, Lord, I want you to do this and this and this and this for me. And oh, by the way, I need this, and I need a new car, and I need a new outfit, or whatever that looks like. We go and we want to talk. Well, it's really not. It is a two-way street. I mean, you can talk to him, but you got to listen. And listening is where the fruit comes from. And so if you're talking the whole time, you aren't getting any of the fruit.
I love that too. That's why I ask every day, how can I be of service? What can I do for somebody else? And listen to that guidance. As you were just discussing that, I'm hoping people on the video, when they get to see this, can actually see your aura started to light up. The energy of
Oh,
presence of God behind you just started to shine. And as I said, I hope it shows up on the video, but I could truly see it. That connection that you have is deep and beautiful, and it's a pleasure to witness.
mm.
As a final, just sort of wrap up, if someone was listening right now and they're doubting their worth and purpose and they're lost, what do you want them to know?
I want them to know that it is as simple as dur, like dur. And that is, all you need to do is discover your power, the power that is within you that you were born with. Unlock your potential, meaning being willing to look at life from new possibilities and new perspectives. And then once you're able to do that, you will make that a part of who you are. And once that becomes who you are, and that's a normal thing for you, then you will be able to relaunch the new version of you. And it's that simple. I know it sounds simple, or maybe complex, or there's a lot to it, but it's really not. It's just that. And you can apply that to so many different things. I mean, if you want a new career in your life, okay, so discover the power. What's in your power? You get to apply for the jobs, you get to find the job that you want, you get to find the salary that you want, all of that. Okay, well, how do I unlock my potential? Well, that's looking at what skills do I need to possess that I don't already have in my power. So then maybe it's a course I need to take. Maybe it's a book I need to read. So then you put that together, you make that part of who you are, and then you go to the interview and you get the job. And then now that is the new version of you, and you have relaunched your story. It's that simple. And this can be applied to every area of your life.
Thank you, Jenna. That is so powerful. And it's a great reminder that even in the darkest moments when we feel that we're lost, there is nothing inside of us. The ember within never truly goes out. That spark of light does not, it is never, like the torch is never put out. It is never expired. It is never dead. I love your story. I'm so grateful for you for sharing this with me and my audience, and to all the people that need to hear this. If you have a friend or someone else who needs to hear this story, please pass on this episode and trust that God has a plan for each and every one of us. Reignite that spark of light within you and go out and become everything that you know that you can be. We have choices every single day to stay where we are or to move and become what we're meant for. Thank you for listening to us, and until next time. Thanks for listening to the Spiritual Awakening with Shaz podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe down below so you don't miss an episode. You can also follow us on Facebook with the links below. Until next time, trust your intuition and let your spirit soar.